Okay, folks, welcome to Market Wrap for the 28th of March. It is at current 5:16 in the a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's begin with please subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below, and share this video with a friend, and click that subscribe button if you would. All right, so let's get to it. We're going to do the pre-market activity, then we'll segue over and into a revisit of our focus stocks, proceeding into this coming week. Let's see how those calls did. So let's kick things off first with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ this morning, what we're doing here is we are retesting a breakout point, or we have retested a breakout point at the 7,300 level. We have flashed a bullish key reversal, and it appears as though we're going to try to proceed higher. Possible W formation on this 4-hour chart. These will all be 4-hour charts. Now, on a daily basis with the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000, we're at a critical point. We're at a point where we're either going to break out or break down. The consolidation has gotten that tight. I'm not going to be surprised which way it goes. I mean, yields are dropping. Why wouldn't stocks rally unless, of course, they're overpriced and investors don't see value? The flip side of that coin is, okay, yields are dropping to lows not seen since 2017. What's wrong with this economy? And that may have investors sitting on their hands before they put on big positions. So what I'm looking for here is a rally up and through this resistance level. Because if we get it, in all probability, we are going to break out higher and close very strong on the month. Not many trading days left to go for the month of March. So we are consolidating, possible W formation forming. If we fail to hold this level here and we break down below, what's the low here? The low of the 27th, which was at 72.76. Look out below. We're coming down here to 7,200. S&P 500, a similar setup. Whereas we have a W formation forming on a 4-hour basis. On a daily basis, we are very close to a breakout or a breakdown. The same narrative I applied to the NASDAQ holds true for the S&P 500. We have broken out. We have a bullish reversal bar, last 4-hour bar. We're consolidating. We're retesting the breakout point. So let's turn this green. Let's see whether or not we close above this bar. This is where we're going to focus our attention. If we rally, we're going to see whether or not we can break out above this pivot point here, which is the center of the W formation. If we do and we close there, we're coming up here to challenge the highs of the 21st. Now, RSI, which I haven't mentioned yet, continues to put in lower highs and lower lows. No breakout yet. Let's check out the US dollar, which I was looking at earlier, and it was one of the reasons why I delayed this morning's broadcast. When I first started looking at it, this 4-hour bar here, we were above this resistance level and right at the highs of the session. And I said, wow, if we close above this resistance level, and especially if we close at the highs of this 4-hour bar, this is a very, very bullish setup for the US dollar. So I sat on my hands for a while and I said, let's see how this bar closes at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And sure enough, we sold off. Let's drill down here. 5-minute bar. Here's that sell-off. Now, you may argue that, you know what, Bob, we were overbought relative to this third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I would agree with that. But being a detective of the charts, we want to keep in mind that we did get that rejection and we closed down below support. We don't want to blame price action simply on a oversold condition relative to the Bollinger Band. It could have been a short squeeze. It could have been overdone. The fact that we did not close above support tells me that I didn't have much defense of this support level here at the 96 level. So the question is, are we being rejected at this level? We'll know fairly soon. And if we begin to break down below the lows of the overnight session, which was at 96.82, Houston, we have a problem for the US dollar. And you can see here on RSI where we were stair-stepping higher, we have now broken down below this lower band of support. So we have a rejection on price, we have topping action, we have a breakdown on RSI 4-hour period. Now, after last week's Fed announcement, I am not a big believer in the dollar rally. I have been skeptical of it, even though we have broken out. And I'm not going to be the least bit surprised to see a pullback here on the US dollar. And that will be bullish for commodities. Now, speaking of commodities, of which we are positioned, we'll begin with gold. So I spoke cautiously about the US dollar, but gold is not getting that message. Gold is pulling back. It is acting inversely of the price action of the US dollar, despite my opinion, and that's the way the markets work. Mr. Market is sending us a signal in that gold broke down below support. We are down in the morning by about 1/3 of a percentage point. We are holding critical support, but it hasn't been retested yet. We need to see whether or not the 1310 level will hold. It's a critical support level. And my guess is that in all probability, we will get a retest of 1310 before this pullback is over. So watch 1310 on the price of gold. Members, we are long of the gold mining stocks, not gold. So we will keep an eye on our position, and we may need to book some profits on that position if we begin to see gold deteriorate further. Let's take a look at silver. Silver had broken down below support. We were consolidating. We had a failed breakout. Not much to talk about here. I would not be a buyer of silver while I'm bullish longer term. The charts are not signaling that we have seen a low for this sell-off. So we're getting lower highs and lower lows. It's a watch. Crude oil prices. We're seeing some weakness here. We have a possible lower high, as noted here in green. We retested the lower band of support, which we broke out and above on the 26th. But now we have closed back down below that level. So that's a problem. So what was resistance back here was retested as support here, and now we have broken down below. So we need to turn this green because this is an objective that oil must overcome before we ever decided to add it to our portfolio. We need to see it close back above this current resistance level. RSI lower highs. So while oil is still interesting, I am a bit concerned about it. If we see a pullback in the dollar, that should help the price of oil. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a great day yesterday. So we are consolidating here, digesting gains. I'm looking for a breakout above the 4,043 level, and that will begin our new leg up to new higher highs on the year. So Bitcoin looking strong. Now let's segue over into our focus stocks from last week, which I reviewed on Best Stock Charts last Saturday, and I'll link to it at the end of this video if you want to take a look at it. And we'll do a review of how those symbols performed. And I'll give you some thoughts as to where they may be going from here. We'll begin with Walgreens Boots, WBA. Now, we were looking for this to be a continuation breakdown trade, meaning that we would resume the downtrend. We were oversold, and our strategy was to look to open a position should we break down below the $61 per share level and then add aggressively on a break below the March lows. That never came. Right? In fact, we are now putting up a defense of $61 per share. And we could quite possibly be putting in a higher low, which sets the stage for a rally up into 64.18. So as a short trade, this is no longer an attractive trade until such time as we give up the $61 per share level. So no trade was executed here, nor do I plan to open one, either long or short, because our edge to buy it as an extreme oversold trade has now gone. RSI is now well off of quote-unquote oversold levels. We were leaning into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. That is in the rear view mirror. In terms of shorting the shares, we're putting up a defense here. So we're not going to short into where there appears to be buyers, right? I would rather wait until we rallied up to $64 per share where there are probable sellers, as noted by resistance bars back here, or support back here, resistance and support back here through May and August. So this one's off of our list for now. We may revisit it. AutoNation. This is another one. We were looking for a continuation breakdown below the lows of last week. It never came. From my perspective, what I'm seeing here is a relief rally. This is not a buy until we break out and close above this upper band of resistance in blue. Volume was good the day prior to last. Yesterday, not so good. We have a higher low in RSI, so things are starting to look up a bit technically for AutoNation, but frankly, we've seen this price action before, and before I ever wanted to get involved with AutoNation, I would need to see if it's on speculation, a close above $35 per share, and I would keep that position very, very small. I would add more aggressively on a rally up and through 39.71, because now all of a sudden we have stopped putting in lower lows and we are now beginning to put in higher highs. Now I should point out that this is a weekly chart and the week isn't over yet. Right? Last week we were higher on the week, but intra-week we were much higher and we sold off. So we have 2 trading days left to go. A lot can happen here. Give this stock a wide berth. If it closes above 35, it remains interesting as a long, but I wouldn't go buying it. I would need to see it close above the upper band of resistance here at about $35.50 to $36 per share. Ideally $36 per share, because that is a resistance level. So AutoNation, long story short, is a watch. Biogen, BIIB. We spoke about this over the weekend. I mentioned that we would probably see a rally, and this was with members on the weekend commentary. We would probably see a rally because we were leaning into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. And sure enough, we got it. So that oversold condition relative to the third standard deviation Bollinger Band is now gone. Now, might the shorts take it up higher? Maybe. But we are already beginning to see some stalling action here. Excuse my voice. At the 235 level. So I would be cautious that we may begin to see a rollover here and a resumption of the downtrend. RSI is no longer oversold. Therefore, we're no longer interested in it except as a short trade. But to short the shares, I would need to see a break below recent lows, and that would mark a resumption of the downtrend. Otherwise, we're no longer watching Biogen. ABTX, Allegiance Bank shares. This was an extreme oversold stock. RSI was well below the 20 mark, and it automatically just ripped higher on Monday. So we never got an opportunity to get long of this stock. But it just goes to show you our contrarian extreme oversold strategy is an effective strategy, in that all the shares that I've gone over so far and will go over moving forward on this video have all rallied this week. And last week, nobody would have thought to have purchased them. Now, on a weekly basis, ABTX is looking good. We held support. This is what I discussed with members on the weekend commentary. We need to see whether or not this support level will hold, and it appears as though it is going to. However, 2 trading days left to go. So this chart is not chiseled in stone yet. We'll know at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday whether or not we have a bullish key reversal on our hands. As it stands right now, is it looking optimistic? It is. It appears as though we are defending the $32 per share level. Fairly good, actually $31.75. We may, just may, have a higher low from the prior low of $28.58. So if we close with this bullish key reversal, I think from a risk-reward perspective, we have an opportunity here to open up a long trade, should we desire one, but that position must stay small, and we would want to add on strength. And ideally, a rally up and through this upper band of resistance, which is defining the upper band of the overall downtrend of ABTX. Another bank stock we discussed, Columbia Banking Systems, another one which just simply took off. We discussed this over the weekend as an extreme oversold stock, and it rallied. Would I go buying the shares here? No. Why not? If I liked it back here, why wouldn't I love it now that it's rallying, it's got a little bit of momentum? It's because of the path of least resistance, weekly chart. The path of least resistance remains to the downside. We were oversold. This is a reaction by the market, by technicians, by short sellers to take advantage of that situation. To open a position now would be hoping when you should fear. If you bought back here, which we didn't get the opportunity to do, if you bought back here, you were acting tactically. You were buying at a support level on a daily basis as identified back in October. Also identified as support prior to October back here, where I discussed with members over the weekend, we had resistance back in 2016. It was also support and resistance back in 2015. So you had that knowledge at your disposal. Had you have purchased, you would have known to have put your stop loss right below the support level. It's too late. You can't go buying these shares right now, not until such time as we pull back, put in a higher low, and then begin to rally. So if you bought back here, think about booking some profits, making them real. This is an oversold short covering rally as noted by volume. This is not institutional accumulation. Book those profits. Next chart up, Future Fuel. Another one, an extreme oversold trade. I mentioned last weekend, again, I'll link to the video, we had RSI well below 20. We reversed off of support as found back here in August of 2018 and July of 18. So it was defended. It is rallying now. Note the topping action yesterday. So we're beginning to see some profit taking off of this oversold condition. Traders are beginning to lock in those extreme oversold profits. And you may have some shorts leaning into the shares because they are shorting into resistance at between $13.50 and $13.75 per share. So would I go buying here? No, this is off of our watch list. The ideal time to have purchased it would have been on this bullish reversal day off of support. Now I would be looking to book some profits, scalp that profit, because the path of least resistance remains to the downside as noted by the weekly chart. We have sliced through not one support level, but 2 support levels like a hot knife through butter. Make those profits real. The last chart up is going to be CATY Bank Corp, another bank. Another one where we spoke about over the weekend, we were looking to buy the shares as an extreme oversold trade. They did rally. RSI at that time was well below 20. The shares at that time were trading down below the 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band. With RSI well below 20, is it any shock that we got a rally? No. But is it now any shock that we're beginning to see sellers move in as we near the $34 per share level? No. Why? It's because we know that this is a prior support level, now resistance. And when you take a look at the chart, as I always advocate, take a look at the charts from a higher level view, not just daily charts or intraday charts. Understand where you have a wall of resistance. It goes all the way back here through 2017. It's not reflected on the daily chart. That's why you need to pull back, take a look at the weekly chart and say, oh my God, look at this wall of resistance I have back here. What are my odds of getting through it? I would say that it is improbable. Can we press higher here? Sure. But the path of least resistance remains to the downside. Just because I have the word contrarian in my tagline does not mean that I want to bet against the market for an extended period of time. Are stocks oversold and mispriced at times? Sure. That has since been remedied here. At least in the short term, this stock has a lot of backing and filling to do to prove that it's worthy to be called an investment. And that is it for this morning, folks. Everybody have a profitable trading day, and I'll talk to you soon.